Ladies and gentlemen, the Advanced Wars Master League is currently underway, and while most games have yet to go out of their early stages, a few of them have already been completed, because some people play quickly, other people like to take their time, and it kind of varies from player to player. But we are seeing some absolutely fantastic matches. This tournament features 64 of some of the best players in the world go head-to-head, and this match in particular from round 1 is an absolute banger. I saw it, I knew I had to host it. We definitely have to take a look at it because this match was wild. It features 2 players which have never appeared on my channel before. They go by the names of Stealth Spectrum and Emerellum. In terms of rating, they're kind of like in the middle of the tournament's bracket. Like, they aren't the best, but they're definitely not the worst. They're kind of somewhere in the middle. And while Emerellum is seemingly the lower rated player, I will point out that Stealth Spectrum is mostly known as a fog player. So even though Stealth Spectrum has like a good almost 100 rating points on his opponent, he's actually the lower rated of the 2 players here. Now Emerellum, this is an interesting player. This is the one that a bunch of Grandmasters told me, watch out for this guy, okay? Watch out for this guy. He plays a lot higher than his rating indicates. He's a very scary player with a lot of potential. And so I decided to check out his match, and I did not regret it. Let me tell you guys, this one's going to be wild. Now, we have a bit of a weird matchup in this one. A matchup that you normally don't see in Standard. We have Max versus Kindle, and the reason why this is kind of uncommon is that Kindle is normally a tier 3 CO, whereas Max is a tier 2 CO. So, you know, unless you deliberately handicap yourself, you're not going to see these 2 COs fight a lot. However, we are on Caustic Finale, which is a mixed-base map. And I'll talk more about Caustic Finale for those of you who don't know. I think it's one of the best maps ever created. But Kindle is ridiculously strong on this map because just look at the cities and the placements. And if you've watched my replay commentaries, particularly like my game versus Starflash when I played Kindle and he played Lash, you'll see just how strong Urban Blight is when it comes to interrupting caps in a mixed-base format, and just how good Kindle in general is on maps like this. However, Max is no slouch either. Max is a pretty strong CO too, especially in a mixed base map. I mean, if you saw my Quack, or was it Quack Cup matches when I played a mixed base map playing as Max, you saw how devastating his ground units were. Because of course, when you were playing on a mixed base map like Caustic Finale, the ability to front switch your army from one front to the other can be a game-winning move, and Max does this really well. He has a bunch of tanks clumped up, he pops Max Force and Max Blast, he gets some movement boosts, and then he moves all of his tanks to another front and just smashes into his opponent before they can react. A very good way to counter indirect spam, for example. If your opponent has like 3 artillery units set up, you just like swap to another front, and the artillery cannot follow because they're indirect units, and so they're slow, they take a turn to set up, so the tanks will just wreak havoc in another area of the map, while your opponent sits there with their indirects unable to do anything. So I definitely think that Kindle is the stronger of the 2 COs on this particular map, but don't count Max out. Max has some pretty nice plays on Caustic Finale as well, and as I said, Emerellum, a very strong player. Let's see what he's able to pull off here against this seemingly higher rated opponent, although he is the higher rated in terms of Standard, but that doesn't matter. I see 1400, Neuron Activation, highly rated player. I mean, let's be real, their ratings do overlap a little bit, not always, but if you can reach 1400 MMR in Fog, chances are you're probably not a terrible Standard player either. I know some of the Grandmasters will be like, no, good Fog, bad Standard, but it does carry over in some sense, I'd like to say. But yeah, Caustic Finale. As I said, I think this is the greatest map ever made. I do really think that. I think Caustic Finale is the perfect Advanced Wars map. I've never had a bad match on Caustic Finale. Even when I lose, I am greatly entertained. So many different fronts, mixed base maps in general, I find them a lot more entertaining than the traditional like North versus South or Left versus Right or what have you. What I love about Caustic Finale is that if you're losing on one front, you can just swap over to another and shift the tide of the battle. Whenever one player pushes too hard on one front, it means that they're letting up momentum on another. So matches tend to have a lot of back and forth on Caustic Finale, which is a lot of fun. You know, who doesn't like a good back and forth match, right? There are lots of mistakes, noob mistakes you can fall into on Caustic Finale. In particular, I find that a black player, in the sense trying to go for this property, or red player trying to take this property, these 2 properties are hard to take, or this one in particular for black player, because due to the tempo of the match, I find that often the city tends to, like, there tends to be a lot of fighting over it, This city tends to be taken quicker due to the initiative advantage, but there's just these two properties in general, and also like trying to fight in the corner here usually doesn't go well. Both players usually just tends to capture their comm towers, and then usually the matches have like 4 conflict points, like here, and here, here, and here, or maybe down here, depending on how heavy each player goes into artillery. Now, one thing that Max definitely can't do very well on this map is build artillery. Artillery are very strong in Caustic Finale. You put an artillery unit on this little half island right here, it covers both of the properties, it makes it practically impossible to push through this bridge right here. However, it is also very dangerous to build artillery against Max, because what is Max good at? He's good at wall breaking. He gets movement and firepower. So if you're gonna artillery versus Max, you better have your walls in order. You better have Inkugark level walls if you're gonna hold off a Max Force or a Max Blast. You need to know exactly how to position your indirects, which is very hard to do. This is something that even the top level players struggle with. I wouldn't even try building indirects against Max. You kind of have to like match him with tanks of your own and try to like win in other ways. I'm not saying like an early artillery and Caustic isn't a good play, but you definitely don't want to like build 3 or 4 artillery versus Max. That is going to get you killed. So yeah, you have these rivers. Forests are also like very strategically placed on Caustic, making it very hard for your tanks to actually push out here. Like if you're gonna attack a unit here with your tank on your base, for example, or let's say you have the tank here, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Suddenly these forests will just stop you. Mechs can also be useful on Caustic Finale. If you're finding yourself pressured on this area, you can build mechs and defend your base pretty easily. Just tons of cool play. These harbors, not terrible to build battleships. I mean, obviously not as Max, but you know, if Kindle builds a battleship right here, if she's being pressured really hard, or like here, she can build a battleship on this port, which will cover pretty much the entire area. Of course, the weakness of that is that, again, Max can just pull back and attack another front, but let's say he's going for the HQ cap, the battleship can actually be pretty useful. Anyway, enough talk about Caustic. I'm going to cast multiple games, by the way. I'm going to cast multiple games on this map. So you'll be seeing a lot of Caustic Finale on the channel moving forward, but personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brackets are posted in the video description and the pinned comment section. Don't click on it right away, otherwise you might be spoiled. We're going to take a look at the brackets after I'm done with this. As I said, we're going to be hosting multiple games from the Master League. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I say we just get straight into it. Let's begin covering this absolute banger of a match. So, the early stages of Caustic Finale is pretty much the same. People have figured out the correct way to play this. Interesting. Just as I say that, never mind. I for some reason I thought he was base skipping, but no, he's just sending us in. Let me just go back and make absolute sure that he. Okay, never mind. I had a brain fart. I was like, whoa, he's skipping the capture of the base. I've never seen this opener before, but I just didn't notice this infantry. just a classic Mang's brain fart moment right there. But yeah, it's, as I said, Caustic Finale, how you open it is pretty much the same every time. You go for the neutral bases. But there is some deviation, like for example here, Stealth Spectrum is opting to go for these properties rather than capturing this. This can be pretty good to do, because again, these two properties are very contested. Like the corner properties are very contested. Whoever can get them first can usually hold on to them. So foregoing a city to go for the corners can be pretty nice. You can see Emeraldum is also doing kind of the same thing here. They're both going for the corner properties. I've seen players do both. This might be like the more up-to-date opener, I think. I mean, again, there has literally been played thousands of games on Caustic Finale, so people have definitely figured out what works and what doesn't work. So here, Stealth Spectrum is opening a artillery against Emeraldum, which it takes some big balls. I'll like a player like Inkugar can pull this off maybe, but if you're gonna go early artillery against Max, you better be very, very secure in your play, because what you're doing is essentially you're giving Max not only a tank firepower advantage, but a tank advantage. He's gonna have 2 tanks to your 1 tank, so you better know where to place that artillery to keep it safe. Otherwise, Max is just going to roll over you, quite literally. But we'll see. Stealth Spectrum is showing some balls right here. Let's see if he can get away with it. Emeraldum immediately opens up a tank here. The player who opens up tank on Caustic Finale has a big advantage, because he can pretty much decide where he wants to send it. Normally, though, the tank, I mean, the fact that he builds the tank here is a little bit interesting. Normally, you see the tank come out on this side, because that way you can either move it up here or to the right, depending on where you want the fight to be taken. And wherever your opponent responds, you just move the tank the other way. And then you're forcing them to build a tank on the other side, which means you've now split your forces. So, the player who takes the initiative on Caustic Finale usually has a bit of an advantage because he gets the luxury of deciding where the fight is taking place. The other player is kind of forced to respond in a way, especially when you're opening... Oh, okay, interesting. So Stealth is not heading down into the corner here, which is where you usually put the artillery. He's actually heading into the middle. Now, Kindle artillery on cities are devastating, don't get me wrong. 40% extra firepower, they can wreck. But it's also very scary. This is an interesting opener from Stealth. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this. Sending the artillery into the center on Caustic Finale? That is some ballsy shit right there. He's really having a lot of faith in that firepower property bonus. But okay, apparently he changes his mind because he sends his artillery back again. So a little bit wobbly with his opener. His Stealth Spectrum is like, okay, all right. I don't know quite. I mean, it's clear that he was guarding against the tank. That was the purpose of sending it out. And I guess he can still send it south if he really wants to. And Morellum opens up Recon. I really like this move. I like this move a lot. Recons can be really strong in Caustic Finale, especially with Max. There are roads that they can drive on, at least partially. And I like this because essentially what he's saying is, I'm not going to commit a whole tank to going to the corner, but I am going to build this Recon and try to apply a little bit of pressure here, forcing a response out of Stealth. They both have one tank each now. Of course, Emerellum will have an advantage in a pure tank-on-tank battle, but don't count Kindle out. Kindle can still pull off some pretty devastating stuff. I like that Emerellum moves the tank over on the city. He's basically just saying, you know, come at me, I'm going to take your city away from you, so you can't sit on that. And of course, if Kindle attacks Max's tank on a city, Max is going to win that engagement. Kindle needs that firepower to win. And this is what I was talking about earlier, this city right here. In some games, it just never gets captured. It just never gets captured. And both players just keep ping-ponging infantry into this damn city, and it stays gray for the whole game. It's just a very hard city to take. When I play Caustic Finale, I tend to just ignore it. I'm like, okay, I don't care about the city. I'm just going to focus on other parts of the map. Because I'm so tired of just throwing infantry into the meat grinder to take the city. But of course, you can keep the brawl going if you want to. Stealth now taking his comm tower, capturing the harbor. Nothing out of the ordinary here, aside from the somewhat early artillery. Another artillery. So this is where he goes from big balls to blue balls, I'd say, because I have no idea what I just said. But okay, double artillery against Max. You're either the bravest Giga Chat in the world, or you are incredibly dumb. And I don't think Stealth Spectrum is dumb. I don't think you reach 1400 MMR on Advanced Force by Web while being dumb. Maybe there are some people out there, but I don't think he's dumb. What I do think he is very cocky, or maybe he just doesn't. Maybe he's underestimating his opponent a little bit. I don't really know, or maybe he has some Giga Brain plays. But this is you. As I said, you better be Inkugark if you want to do something like this, and even Inkugark will struggle if he does something like this. I don't know if you guys remember when he lost to Poland on Caustic Finale because he opened up double artillery. Stealth Spectrum obviously hasn't opened double artillery, but to build a second artillery on day 7, that is quite something. Let's see if he's able to do something here. Another tank comes out. Once again, moving his artillery into the center rather than... I mean, he has these two properties, so maybe he just figures he doesn't really need it. Could be the case. Let's see what he decides to do. I do think he's setting himself up for a whooping here. And Morellum gets a sort of free hit. I mean, is he going to bring his tank over? This is interesting. I mean, Stealth Spectrum has this tank to shoot it down, I guess. Interesting. Huh. I wonder what Emerellum has planned. I mean, isn't this just a free hit? It's not like he can guard the tank with another one. That being said, he does have a 20% firepower advantage, but still, if Kindle hits first... Seems a bit weird to me. Maybe he just wants to weaken the capture phase. Yeah, here we go. 5-7. It's okay. I mean, it's pretty bad for Kindle. Or sorry, for Max, but I guess he just wanted to weaken the infantry a little bit to slow the capture phase. That's commendable. Alright, we got some skirmishes taking place on the right-hand side here. We have the artillery set up behind the infantry, but again, man, against Max, infantry walls alone won't cut it. You also need perfect positioning, because once Max pops his powers, he is going to burst through those walls like they're made of paper. So here, Stealth Spectrum is sending his other artillery into the corner. It's kind of where his first artillery probably were meant to go, but he decided to go into the center with it instead. But as you can see right here, the artillery is very strong. It's not quite covering the property yet, but once he gets it into position, Stealth Spectrum is just not going to be able to attack. It's really that simple. Day 9 rolls in, and Morellum finally finishes his comm tower, meaning that his tanks are now 30% stronger, so they are not grit level, grim level tanks without the reduced defense, so very scary. Ooh, what is going on here? Oh, I think Morellum is seeing a wall break right here. So he sacks his 4 HP infantry, bringing Kindle's infantry down to 8 HP, but he decides to not go for it. So here, what I think he did, either he's preemptively weakening the wall so that he can break through it later, or he was like, okay, I'm gonna break through, and then he kind of like he kind of chickened out, because he could have sent his tank down here, killed, and then sent another tank, but he would have lost probably both his tanks doing that. So I kind of see why he didn't. But okay, interesting. So he had an idea, and then he decided, nah, I'm not gonna have that idea anymore, or maybe he's just gonna save it for later. As a Max player, you do want to show some patience. You can't just ram your head into your opponent right away. You do have to try and, like, you have to wait for the perfect moment to push. This is incredibly important. All right. So far, both players just kind of testing each other out. No one is really committing to a serious attack yet. Stealth is swapping out his damaged infantry for a new one, strengthening his wall. But Morellum is having none of it. He's like, okay, now I'm going for it, because now I got 3 tanks in the area. And he now brings his recon up as well. Yeah. Now he's attacking hard on the right side right here, and this is what I'm saying. Artillery against Max. It's a brave move. You better know what you're doing. And right now you can see how devastating those Max tanks are. Look at that. His Max force is coming. And once that Max force is coming, he can just roll over this entire right flank right here. This is the second time Morellum is using a 4 HP infantry to like weaken a oh, sorry, this is the second time Morellum like sacks a 4 HP infantry to like preemptively weaken his infantry so that walls are weaker. I think this is a pretty Giga Chad move, honestly, because I mean that infantry was gonna die anyway. Like he could have maybe pulled it back, but he probably would have died. So he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna shave off 2 HP of your infantry to make your future walls weaker. And honestly, it's pretty smart. Because what does Max like? Well, he likes weakened units so that they can break through easier. So artillery gets pulled back, and on this HQ it sits pretty comfortably. It guards most of these entrances right here. It's pretty hard to attack into. Of course, Max can still get the job done with a firepower increase. But this can be pretty scary for Stealth Spectrum. So builds the medium tank. That's definitely the correct choice. You got, what, 6 tanks in the vicinity? You can't fight that off with tanks of your own. You need to build a medium tank. Problem with medium tanks, though? They're slow. They're slow. So what can Morellum do in response? He can just pull back, leaving this medium tank in the dust. So while I think the medium tank is the correct choice to this aggression, it is also a response that is very easily countered by the attacker by simply shifting away your front somewhere else. You don't want to ram your head into a medium tank. Just go elsewhere where the medium tank can't be. It moves 5, and there's forest tiles. It's going to take forever to pursue you. Kindle doesn't have any firepower bonuses either, so it's going to be even worse for her. So here, Morellum is now putting a little bit of pressure on the island. Of course, Stealth does have a lot of forces in the area to respond to that. We'll see what happens. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Look at what Morellum is doing right now. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. He sees the medium tank. He goes, adios, sucker. And he just switches his entire attack over to this part of the map instead. Look here, Stealth has 2 tanks and 1 artillery and a bunch of weakened infantry. These are like, this is like Max in a candy store, okay? These are like little sugared candies that Max can just go So this is super scary. And Amarellum is also shifting over his forces over here. He's now going to do a pincer attack where he attacks both from the south and the easts. And what he's still going to do is sitting here with a bunch of slow-ass units who can't follow up. And look at that. Leads with this recon. I'm telling you guys, recons, another recon. I love it. I love it. This is like Amarellum, man. I understand what the Grandmasters were talking about when they said that this guy was underrated. He's playing beautifully right now. Kindle is technically the stronger CEO on Caustic. Max really shouldn't be able to beat her. But look at Amarellum here. He is just outplaying his opponent. Beautifully played. Here, Stealth is going... Okay, he's shifting his forces to the south? I guess he wants to do a counterattack, but he's about to get gobbled up on the left side here. This is about to get scary. I don't really think he can sit around and lick his wounds here. He's now divided into two, whereas Amarellum is converging in the middle. And if you, if you read the Art of War, Sun Tzu, whatever, I believe one of the things he says is like, if your opponent splits up, you just attack the other group, and then even though you are technically the lower numbered army, you can still outnumber them if you can make them split up, and then you attack the one of the parts of the army. That's not how the quote goes. You guys know what I'm referencing. There's some smartass in the comment section are gonna be like, actually, Mangs, Sun Tzu actually says, shut up, nerd. Okay, shut up. Anyway, so this is exactly what I was talking about. Look, Amarellum, he's not completely committing to this attack, but he is preparing for it. He's yoinking up a property while it's at it. Might as well, right? And look at this. Look at this. He's now preparing right as the max force is about to come in. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. He's prowling. It's like a tiger prowling in the grass, He's ready to pounce on his opponent. Now, if I was Stealth Spectrum right now, I'd be shaking in my boots. This is scary. This is very scary. That artillery ain't gonna hold, man. That artillery ain't gonna hold at all. He pumps the Urban Blight. Okay. Doesn't really do a lot. That was that's what I call a premature activation. I really don't think he should have popped it. I mean, sure, he interrupts this. But, let's take a look at the actual damage done by that. 110,000 value. 5k. Yeah, that's not even an Urban Blight. That's an Urban Light right there. That's embarrassing, honestly. That's not great. I think that was a panic. He sees the army outside the walls. And he's I don't mean to make fun of Stealth Spectrum. He's a much better player than I am, but I think that's probably what happened here. Like, I get it. I would be pissing my pants right now if I looked out my window and I saw this. So I get it. I get it. I really do. But this counterattack over here, it's not going to do shit because Stealth Spectrum is about to lose his entire base. It's a cute counterattack. He can pick up like 2 properties, maybe a third over here. And because, well, yeah, imagine if he still had his Urban Blight though. All right, I think the time for attacking has come. Max Force gets popped. We are about to witness carnage, ladies and gentlemen. Amarellum's tanks are sweeping in. I told you that artillery was not going to hold. Infantry goes down. Oh my goodness. And his cap. And imagine if Stealth Spectrum had his Urban Blight ready now. He could have interrupted all of these caps. But he doesn't have it. So that's 3 properties that are going to be picked up by Amarellum, who is already 3k ahead. He even gets a couple of nice shots here on this little attack over here. So Amarellum is just dominating right now. Look at this. Ooh. Oh my goodness. I would not want to be Stealth right now. Like, your base has a tank infestation. And there's no tank repellent in sight. Valley, I mean, if Kindle does one thing quite kind of well, it is defending. Because she does get that property bonus. So her units can be pretty hard to dislodge away from cities, but man, this is just like, he's killing some units, but he's not killing nearly enough. And there's a medium, like, I appreciate the medium tank is the correct buy here for sure, but day 14 rolls in and Amarellum picks up 3 cities, 24 to 16k. That's when you have that kind of income deficit, that's when the timer really starts to tick hard on your end. Ooh. Oh, he's not letting up. He's just going for it. He's just going for it. And he's even pushing back this meager little side. Look at this lonely little medium tank right here, just sitting out in no man's land. He has nothing to do. It's like, oh, where'd everyone go? Where did everyone go? I have nothing. I have no purpose. This medium tank lacks a purpose. Yeah, you can see, like, stealth is just spread out all over the map. He doesn't have any cohesion. The infantry are just, like, aimlessly wandering about. I mean, there are properties here that they can pick up, but what's it gonna matter if his entire left base gets wiped out? Meanwhile, Emerellum is on the attack right here. He even sacks the 2 HP tank to get some power charge. That's incredibly cool. Gets the max force, and here comes, I would say this is gonna be the sweep. This is gonna be the sweep right here. Look at this. Now he has the base lock if he wants it. He can surround the medium tank, making it completely worthless. He's even surrounding the tank on the base. Ooh, just oh. I mean, Stealth Spectrum practically has a super ready. He could pop that, but I wouldn't recommend it, but he could. He pops the Urban Blight, but what is it really going to do? I mean, look at that. It doesn't do any damage. Emerellum is masterfully avoiding placing units on cities. Now, Stealth is picking up a couple cities, and he will get them. But it doesn't matter because he's lost his entire left base. And yeah, this is pretty GG at this point. I imagine Stealth is probably going to resign very soon. But he picks up 2 properties first just to even the score a little bit. He's trying something here. It's not gonna work. Then there comes the resign. Oh, that was a beautiful match. That was a beautiful match. Emerellum, keep an eye on this guy. Keep an eye on this guy. He might be the dark horse of the tournament. I expect good things from this player. I was told to keep an eye on him, and I will. Let's see where he goes. Now let's take a look at the bracket to end things off here. So as you can see right here, most matches are still in progress. Now, fun little thing about the bracket here is if you click here and you go on attachments, I have thrown a link to every single match here if you want to go follow it, if you want to go spoil yourself. But as you can see right here, we have 3 matches completed so far. Emerellum goes on to round 2, where he will face the winner of either X123456789 or Smushmart. Most likely it's gonna face X123, that's a rough matchup. X123 is like one of the best players in the world, easily. So that's gonna be rough for him. I obviously not gonna count Smushmart out, like obviously not, but I kinda am because this guy's just that good. So it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, currently, tournament is shaping up to be very exciting with a lot of really cool games. So hoping you guys are enjoying it so far. I'll definitely cast more replays from round 1. There's some really great matches in progress. One with Izanagi that's currently ongoing that is like wild with like battleships everywhere. It's amazing. Anyway guys, hope you guys are enjoying the Master League so far. Give this video a like and a comment if you do. And I shall see you guys next time. Bye-bye!